Hello, everyone. The week of interesting arrests in Russia continues. And again, it is impossible to tell whether any of the charges against any of the suspects are true. So this is the first one. This 20-year-old guy was initially arrested for burning the Quran. And then it was another charge for him. He was charged with treason. Basically, he is accused of filming military operations and sending information to Ukrainian intelligence. Well, I'm not saying it didn't happen. However, other Russian soldiers did that too. They just didn't know they were doing that. Do you remember the big scandal earlier this year? I can't remember when. I think it's been a few months. But when they had to prohibit the use of smartphones in the war zone because the idiots were taking pictures and videos and sending them home, except those got posted on social media, and Ukrainian intelligence was able to use those to determine where the troops were and carried out several successful operations using that information. So I don't know why this poor sap is getting sentenced to a long time in prison, because he just did openly what everybody else did without realizing they were doing it. But, no worries. In its infinite wisdom, now that he is a convict, Russia will just send him back to the front. Then there's this one. So, an elderly American man is going on trial. He is accused of being a secret Ukrainian mercenary. And again, as I mentioned yesterday, Russia, you are really hard to please, because yesterday we were talking about a vehemently pro-Russian person being accused of trying to assassinate an equally vehemently pro-Russian blogger. So this guy is a 72-year-old American man by the name of Stephen Hubbard. He is accused of signing a military contract with the Ukrainian Territorial Defense Unit back in February 2022 for the defense of the city of Izum. So if anybody's counting, at that time, the suspect would have been 70 years old. So the problem with that is, A, it's a closed trial. B, allegedly, the suspect himself requested it to be so. And allegedly there is a confession, except we are talking about a confession and a request for a closed trial obtained in Russian custody from a 72-year-old guy. The suspect's sister and another family members are already expressing some doubts as to what the heck is going on there. Like, why would a 70-something dude go to war in Ukraine? And since his views apparently were mostly pro-Russian, although he claimed himself to be a pacifist and never owned a firearm. So that's happening. Again, I don't know what that is all about. This seems very random. NATO has a new Secretary General, Mark Rutte. So far, he's saying the right things. Like, he is saying that, all of Russia's nuclear posturing is just that, posturing. I'm not sure what that is going to mean when it comes to the NATO strategy with respect to Ukraine. This gentleman hadn't made his platform clear yet, so we'll see. If anybody knows anything about it, please feel free to contribute. We're still dealing with the fallout from Hurricane Helene where I am. So I haven't had a whole lot of time to research certain subjects. But just a reminder to everybody, so the new Russian doctrine when it comes to the use of nuclear weapons basically says that it doesn't matter if the weapons used against it come from a non-nuclear power, as long as it has nuclear allies. So basically, anybody who is allied with the United States, if they supplied Ukraine with weapons that were then used against Russia, Russia considers that a sufficient excuse to threaten the use of nuclear weapons against those places. I don't know why they use so many words. They tried to put it in very pretty legalese, but what they should have said, basically, our new nuclear doctrine is we can use nuclear weapons whenever for any reason, and we don't have to say anything or explain anything. There's been another huge drone attack by the Russians with about 100 drones involved, maybe a little more. The picture you see here is from an area struck in the city of Kharkiv. Most of the drones were brought down, and some of them were jammed, basically through interference with their signal. However, remember, we talked about this. This worked in favor of the Ukrainian military, but also it worked against Ukrainian civilians at times. When you shoot down a drone, it doesn't just vanish into thin air. There are pieces of it left. It's not that small. Drones are light and small, that is true, but it's not non-existent. So it's not like you shoot it down and it vanishes. It falls apart into pieces. Those pieces are traveling very fast, and some of them are burning. So that can cause a problem. And when you shoot down, almost 80 of those things out of the sky, naturally, there's a lot of crap, fiery, dangerous crap flying through the air, and that can still cause a lot of damage. Not surprisingly, Russia continues to murder Ukrainian civilians. This photograph is from the city of Kherson, where they struck a market. No doubt in my mind that they will again declare it was, a Ukrainian military facility for storing mutated mosquitoes or something like that. We know 6 people were killed in the attack, and the shelling actually took place at around 9 o'clock in the morning, when people across Ukraine were having a moment of silence to remember the dead. I mean, again, these people have no conscience whatsoever. They don't even let us mourn our dead. There's like, oh look, a bunch of people standing around with their heads bowed, crying. Let's send a missile against them. Let's send some drones. Let's send some bombs. Let's do that. That sounds like fun. That's Russia for you. This is hilarious, or it would be hilarious had it not been so horrible. After all this time, after hundreds and thousands of civilians dead, wounded, millions displaced, Moscow continues insisting that they do not target civilians. Guys, just stop. If you're gonna be a monumental global assholes, at least own it. Grow some balls. Some good news, at least. We are getting information from Ukraine's military saying that they struck a Russian radar station. So we've had this before. We've had this happen before. Why is this important? That is the eyes and ears for the guided Russian projectiles. So guided missiles, guided bombs, drones, etc. So when you take one of those out, you render them dumb, deaf, and blind. So some good news, at least. More to come.